Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today it is time to take a look at the new Guy Crimson Mythical Vermilion Wings. He is a very limited support unit for a very small amount of teams overall. There are a number of units you can use with him, don't get me wrong. But because both of his skills have heavy limitations, it does make him not very useful for, like, I'd say 70% of the game. So he is space, so, we just had the Primal Demon meta, which was focused on space, but physical. He is space and magic, but he is, the 7th Primal Demon to get a new unit this year. And then he uses a lance, just like Diablo. So if you made a lance for Diablo, you can just give it to Guy and call it good. He is an AoE alt. He lowers defense by 15%, which is good. Being a support unit, that's very good that he has some secondary effect like that. His first skill, only space and wind allies, but they get a free ult, right, for 40 skill points, and he stacks synergy resistance down on the enemy. All enemies, if there are multiple targets. So that is pretty nice. And we did get quite a few new space units recently, and there are still a lot of good space units existing. Visions of Coleus Violet and Jean, Warrior's Mind Violet. We got new Diablo, new Blanc. That's a lot of space characters in the last 6 months that will benefit from getting a free alt gauge. And then synergy resistance may not, really work for the Primal Demon team, but it will work for Visions of Coleus, which has 2 dedicated space nukers who are single targets that will also like a free ult gauge. His second skill, Exalted Champions and Primal Demon characters get guaranteed synergy and 40% synergy power. Now, this is equivalent to what Idol Shuna was doing, but she is twice as expensive, more than that actually, because she's a bit more generic, right? She gives everybody synergy, and magic allies get 40%. So because it's opened up to not just 2 categories, but everybody gets this and half the game gets this, it's going to be a bit more expensive. Plus she's a little bit, she's 4 months old at this point, and Guy is brand new. But it does, again, heavily limit his usefulness, because if you want to bring him on a team that doesn't have Exalted Champions or Primal Demons, this skill is actually useless. And if you're not bringing him on a team with space and wind characters, this skill is almost useless. Maybe you can get some use out of the synergy resistance stacks, but regardless, your best bet is bringing a team that has space and wind characters that are Exalted Champions or Primal Demons, which is a heavy ask for people that just started the game that may not have good wind or space characters and no Primal Demon units, or maybe they haven't gotten lucky on this banner and they haven't gotten the other Exalted Champion units. So it does restrict him heavily. But we're still going to try and make it work. His Valor trait is one of those annoying ones where if he comes in, he will delete part of your alt gauge, so instead of having your EX alt, you now have not an EX alt. It's only good for defense teams. Trying to use it for your own team is not really that useful. He'll probably do fine as a nuker, and we'll test that out in Valor Cup in a different video. And then his actual trait, if you send 6 greens, you get extra synergy power, which is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Let's go ahead and try him out, though. Alright, so we're going to change the team up a bit from the last 2 showcases. Instead of bringing Violet and Shizuka, or Violet and somebody else, we're going to bring the hero and old Goddess of Destiny, Rain, who has a magic buff and a magic debuff and a green buff, and the hero has the resistance down and everything, and the orb damage, so it's a comparable team. It won't do big damage, but, we're here to showcase what Guy is doing for the team, more than what Milim is doing with total damage. Alright, so let's get Guy in here. Remember, Veldora needs Exalted Champions to change the orb, so we gotta bring him in first. Boom, and then we'll bring Milim in. And we'll go ahead and send these orbs right here. If we started with skill points, we could have used Rain's buff as well, and it would have given us max points and a little bit more alt gauge, but it's not a big deal right here. But here is where it's actually going to matter for Guy, because, we have 3 Milim orbs, which is pretty good. And now what we can do is we can bring in Veldora for Rain, and then we will use his green buff, 70% plus lowering magic resistance, and then we'll also use the 100% free alt gauge for Space and Wind, which, or not Veldora, but Guy and Milim. And boom, 100% alt gauge for free, which means that now when we use Velzard, who's going to give us a 6 hand of greens that are buffed by 70%, this will get Milim's EX alt right off the bat, and it'll get us very close to getting a Guy. If we had a 2 and 2 of Milim and Guy, it would have got both their EX alts. So, I mean, this is it's a very good skill if you're running these specific characters. And now on turn 3, we can use his other skill, which is the synergy and synergy power. And we can also use the little magic buff from Rain as well. So we'll bring the hero in. We'll use her resistance down for the elements, 25 points. It also increases our orb damage. And then we'll bring Rain in. We'll boost our magic for 25 points, plus the 20% magic resistance down, which is better than the 10, or technically the 9, that Veldora was doing. Boom. And then we'll use the personal buff, and then the synergy power. So, because this Rain is Primal Demon, she is also getting that synergy power. Because Veldora is Exalted Champion, he would get that. But the hero, who is neither Space, or Wind, or Primal Demon, or Exalted Champion, does not benefit at all from Guy. But in this scenario, it's fine, because she's not the primary focus, right? But, you know, just that's how you got to keep things in mind, is that if you don't fall into one of his 4 restrictions, Guy doesn't do shit for you, which is, I think, a problem for newer players who don't have a lot of Wind or Space or Exalted or Primal Demons. And then what's he gonna do for you? Except be himself, right? But Guy, he lowers defense by 15% in his ult, which again is good because it helps other characters do more damage. So we're gonna go and send this now, and we'll see how much damage we can do here. 170 with his ult, not that great, but Milim does 1.8 million, and then we have some follow-ups, and hopefully we can kill with Guy's orb here. And he can, you know, take the show a little bit. Oh, very, very close. 155k. Alright. It's not the greatest thing, but it is something, and now we can actually have Guy finishing off. And because I forgot to show his ult animation, we can do that now. Turn this on, or we'll technically off. And then, yeah, we'll send the Guy ult, and then we'll be out of this fight. So Guy, he'll be good for Valor Cup. He'll be good for, you know, AoE stages, and we will definitely use him in an AoE stage in the next clip. But he is a dedicated support, and a very limited dedicated support, which really cuts down his viability and my reasons to tell people to summon for him. If he was a little bit more generic, I'd be a lot higher up on him. If his synergy power was just everybody and it was like a 55-point skill, like I wouldn't have been upset about that, because at least you could take him in somewhere else and use him effectively. But he works when you give him a team to set up. Alright, we're going to put him on this team. So, Space Guy Protector is changing 3 and 3 to 6 greens. He's giving an AoE buff, and he's giving 35% alt gauge. New Guy is giving 100% alt gauge to himself, to Violet, and the hero. We got some orb changers in here, and then Guy and Violet herself will get the synergy power buff because they are on Primal Demons. The hero will get the alt gauge, but not the synergy buff because she is not on Primal Demon or Exalted Champions. But she is an AoE space unit, so we might as well. Alright, got a very good hand to start out, so we'll use Aaron to convert those, and then we'll bring in Violet for... we get binded, don't we, huh? Let's... I kind of want the green buff, so... yeah, we'll just bring her in for Aaron. We'll just kind of run it like this. So, I mean, you don't have to bring the hero, obviously, because she's not going to benefit. If you have Space Lumi, she was added to Exalted Champions, so she would benefit from being a space unit and being on the synergy power category. That's a good hand right there. All right, we're looking good. Isis won't get anything here. Aaron won't get anything here, but they're not the focus anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. So let's go ahead and use the 100% right here. Boom. instant ult for both of them, and then we'll use Protector Guy to give them another 35%. And yeah, I mean, look at that. He's going to get an EX ult right here. And then let's use the Orb Change for Isis to take care of that last blue. And now, I mean, we're going to have everything essentially, right? Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, double EX ults right here. And that took 2 turns. Like, that's pretty good. If you can build a team around Guy, you can make him be a very, very solid support for a burst team. I wouldn't recommend putting him on a stacking team, per se. He does have aspects that you can benefit with a stack, but I don't know how efficient that's gonna be. So, let's see, we don't get anything else from here, and the buffs are gonna be too expensive to use, right? Yeah. Let's just wait a bit. So we'll send the Isis ult, and we'll get these oranges used up. Because I'm not really worried. I want to bring the hero in, and we'll use, I think, the crit buff and the synergy power buff. And I know that this stage does have a little bit of crit resistance. I think we should be able to remove that, because I think it's only 30%. 20%. Okay, so yeah, we'll actually benefit from having the crit power. So, boom, let's do this. Then we can use the 55-point skill, the 25-point skill. So now everyone has guaranteed crit, and then our 2 primary nukers have synergy power and guaranteed synergy. And let's put the AoE debuff back on. Change the full Hand of Orbs again. And I think between this, because if Guy doesn't kill, he's going to lower their defense by 15%, and then Violet's going to kill. So let's see how well this goes. 121k, okay. And then Violet comes in, and she does 157. 4 turns. Very easy, because we have built a team around Guy. And so that's pretty good. And you could have brought Space Lumi, she could have done the exact same thing. We wouldn't have gotten the crit, so we would have been down a skill or something like that. Maybe could have just used maybe pushed an extra turn or something. But hey, I mean, that was pretty efficient right there. Let's try something else. All right, the last part, we're going to go into the Chamber of Aspects or Chamber of Memories and Contracts for the Primal Demon stage. It makes sense because, we can use Lumi to give the synergy rate. We've got Blanc for the synergy resistance down, which will stack alongside Guy's resistance down because one is temporary, one is permanent. And then we've got 2 Primal Demon Space Nukers who would greatly benefit from synergy power and a free ult gauge or 2, or, depending on how many you want to use in a fight. But, this is a team that he will focus on. And we've removed him for Visions of Coleus Rimuru, which, his rainbow orbs are great, not only for the ult gauge, but for, the blue gauge and stacking Lumi. I think this should still work fine, probably. Let's find out. Okay, we can at least get Violet and our stacks started here. So we'll take out Guy. He's not going to be useful for a while until we can get enough points to actually, make our stacks worth it. So this is going to be what we're going to have to do right here. It's not a bad team, right? It's just we are sacrificing the very versatile use of those Rainbow Unity Orbs for free ult gauge. That's a good hand, though. We can definitely use that. And get probably a double stack now. Yeah. After this turn. So we'll do this again. Boom, 1 stack of Lumi. This will give us a decent amount of points. It'll most importantly give us synergy rate. And so that, combined with Blanc's synergy power down, or synergy resistance down, Jeanne is giving herself a 30% buff on her ult right here, 30%, but Guy's is higher. And it will now affect both Blanc and Violet, which I think is also very, very nice. It'll help them hit harder. So yeah, we'll get, with Violet's trait, we'll get that double stack for Lumi. And I think we'll be good. We want to nuke on turn 8 here, so we will have enough time to do everything. So 1, okay, we can orb change out of this. All right, we got to turn this off. I always forget that. So all right. And we should have enough to use the Albus Orb change as well, which will get us out of this hand. So, yeah, perfect. So, boom. and then you come in for Violet, I guess. I mean, we don't really have to worry about alt gauge, so we're fine here. And yeah, we'll keep going. No one is type advantage here technically, so it's not too much of a deal. Like, no one has weakness strike going on, so just synergy power, magic buff, alt resistance, or alt power, sorry. A lot of alt damage. That's certainly a hand right there, I guess. That's not really what I'm looking for. We'll just have to deal with it, I guess. So we'll get you out of here. We'll get another stack on. And I think we're just going to send these Blanc Orbs. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, not the best hand. No blues. Rimuru would have handled that very well. But we wouldn't have been able to bring Rimuru here anyways, I don't think. That's a much better hand. So, let's do the alt swap, the orb change. Boom. Boom. We'll get Albus in here for Blanc. We'll do her orb change. And then we can bring Guy in. And we can use, I believe, both of his skills. Yeah. Well, not both of it. But we can use his gauge. 100% and synergy resistance. Boom. So now look at that. He's got a free alt. Jean's almost done. Violet's almost done. They might be done after this hand. They are done after this hand. Perfect. All right, we're on turn 5. We've got 2 EX alts. Plus, Blanc's sitting in the back waiting for hers as well. We've gotten a stack of the synergy resistance from Guy, so that'll just help us do more damage when we actually need to activate that. And now, I mean, let's do it again for funsies. You can just get more stacks on because we've got the points for it. We'll bring Blanc in, and then we'll alt swap away, and we'll call it good. So alt swap orb change. We still have 56 points left over. All right, yeah, I like this. This is going out very, very well. We just have to make sure that Guy's up front on turn 7. Okay. Which I don't think is going to be a difficult thing to do. So, cool, boom, 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 boom. He's guarding all this, but we are doing more damage because we do have Synergy active, and he's got a couple stacks of resistance down for it. So, I think we can take out Jean, probably. Well, no, we can do this instead. So boom, boom, and then Albus can come in for Blanc. Because I want this attack nerf to leave both of those, even though it's only going to take one of them to actually fully nuke. I would like someone to be full powered here. Alright, do we have enough points to use everything? We might have to skip the Albus buff, which is not that big of a deal, depending on what we have to offer. 400 points, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 80. Oh. Is that exactly enough points? That is exactly enough points. Alright, cool. Yeah, let's do all of this then. So, Albus buff now. And then we'll bring Guy in. We'll use his synergy power buff. So now everybody gets that, including Violet. We'll bring Blanc in. And then we'll use all of these other skills, and we are at 0 points exactly. Alright. So, you know, what made Jean a better DPS character than Violet was because she was giving herself a personal buff of 30% synergy power. Well, now both her and Violet have 40% synergy power, the same amount of stacks, the exact same buffs. So now, in theory, apart from the trait that Jean has, Violet would do rather equivalent damage. So let's go ahead and send her. And we should be out of here. So, we'll watch this ult. Yeah. So, Guy is a very good support if you have the units to put around him. If he's supporting the correct teams. If you put him on 1.5 million, okay, that's pretty good. If you put him on a team that does not have Space and Wind, or Primal Demon Exalted Champions, he's not going to do much for you, if anything. Like, you could put him on the Fire team with Fire Violet. Yeah, she would get the synergy power, but she wouldn't get the alt gauge. You could put him with Light Blanc right here, right? She's Primal Demon, she would get synergy power, but she wouldn't get the alt gauge. Or you could do some kind of other combination of wind characters. Like, you could certainly try and buff Wind Hinata. She would get alt gauge, but she wouldn't get the synergy. Same with Shizu. Same with Shuna, Vengeance Shuna, right? Not that she really needs it, but... Or Tempest Fleet Shuna to be, the same way. So, it's complicated, right? If you're going to try and use Guy at optimum efficiency, you need the characters to put around him. If you don't, he's almost useless. But overall, there are a lot of good units to put him with, right? You can make things work. And so maybe I've been a bit too harsh on him the past couple of days. I'm going to give him a solid 7 right now. 7. And we'll see how that evolves after the meta is complete and everything. And, in the future, what other units comes out. But if you have the team, he's very good. If you don't have the team, he's not very good. And that's just the end-all be-all. But let me know what you guys think of Guy. That's it for me. Take it easy, and I'll see you guys later.